Hello, traders. This is Rich from tradesight. Here's a look at our market-leading stocks for the coming session. This is for Tuesday, January 13th, 2015. What we have here is we've got kind of a mixed bag here from signals. We've got a fair amount of signals on both sides here, but definitely not a bias either way for the coming session. But what we do have is we have some meaningful price action. Take a look at the open-close deviations here on the NASDAQ patch. We've got an open-close deviation in Apple that was pretty aggressive. First Solar, KLA, Tencor, and also Netflix. We also have some volume bumps here. SanDisk had a huge volume bump on the guidance warning, with a volume bump in Tesla and also in Baidu. In the financial sector, not really so many signals here, but we did have some movement here. You can see mostly to the downside here, and some of them were fairly aggressive. Citigroup was the only major that registered a volume bump. Huntington Bancorp had a CPS to the upside and actually fell just a little bit short of a volume bump here. In the energy patch, energy was definitely in motion today, with crude being very weak and making a new low on the move and a new low close. Right now, crude futures are 45.45, down again in the overnight. CHK had a real weak session, 2.5% below the day's open. PBR, the foreign stock, had a very, very weak showing and a big bump in volume in Schlumberger on the Goldman Sachs downgrade today. Looking at the market generals, Best Buy had a big volume bump. We'll more or less paired off here between buys and sells, so not a lot to be learned here in the market generals. Yeah, housing names. Toll Brothers had an analyst change as far as recommendation. NVR was fairly strong, and Hovnanian was strong. The transportation index was kind of sloppy here, but paired off as far as signals goes, with nothing decisive. American Airlines starting to roll to the downside, 3% below the day's open and 1% below the day's VWAP, which is a pretty decisive move to the downside. CSX also had a good volume day, and so did Norfolk Southern, NSC. And finally, into the commodities, a little bit of action to the upside here as far as signals go. AA and potash, both non-ferrous metals, but silver, wheat, and SLW. The precious metal stock was very, very strong to the upside, almost 5% above the day's open and decently above the day's VWAP. And also notice the volume bumps here. USX was something that we were targeting on the short side, but had a very aggressive gap down this morning. That's something that could be on your radar, looking for a move down to that zero race line on the daily chart. All right, folks, as always, thanks for listening. This has been Rich for tradesight.